Hello, my name is Ava Fabros, and this video will be a StatCrunch crash course in 15 minutes or less. So we will start by giving a general overview of the StatCrunch program, and then move on to finding the z-score of standard normal distribution, z-test, t-test, and chi-squared critical values. We'll find confidence intervals of proportions, and then learn how to run a chi-squared test. Those are the 4 problems that we'll be going over as a StatCrunch basics. This is StatCrunch, and it is a program that looks a lot like Excel or Google Sheets that can be used to find the margin of error, critical values, t-stats, z-stats, p-values, and confidence intervals. There are many other uses, but these are the general concepts for our Math M15 course. To find these values, StatCrunch works with both raw data and a summary of your data. Now we will find the z-score of standard normal distribution. As we see here, the question states, find the indicated z-score. The graph depicts a standard normal distribution with the mean 0 and standard deviation 1. We are looking for the z-score that corresponds to the shaded region on the left side of this graph. So to start, press Stat, Calculators, and then scroll down to Normal, and we'll appear with this graph. We want to make sure that the shaded region is on the left side because it is a left-tailed test over here. If we want it to be right-tailed, which we don't, we would change this inequality button to greater than, and then the shaded region moves to the right. Move it back to left for now. We are going to put our proportion of the distribution in this box here, which is 0.1788, and compute with a mean of 0 and standard deviation of 1. This value here is our z-score. Moving on, we are going to find the z-test, t-test, and chi-squared critical values. All 3 will be using confidence level of 95%, which you know corresponds to the alpha value of 0.05. And for the t-test and chi-squared test, we'll use 6 degrees of freedom. So to start with the z-test, press Stat, Calculators, and come down to Normal. I'm going to make all of these right-tailed tests, so change the inequality to greater than if you'd like it to be a right-tailed test. We'll put in this box the alpha of 0.05, compute, and 1.64 will be the critical value of this z-stat. Moving on to t-tests, come to calculators, drop down to t instead of normal. We'll see again we have to change this to greater than and make the alpha 0.05. On this one we'll have to put a degree of freedom, and we said that was 6. So this answer would be 1.94 for the critical value of the t-test. Finally, for the chi-squared, calculators again, and then find chi-square. We'll move this to the right, greater than symbol. Now it's on the right. Change degrees of freedom to 6. And the alpha to 0.05. Compute, and the response would be 12.59. Okay, now that we have the z-score and critical values down, let's work with the probability confidence interval problem. In a study of 1,013 people, 502 successfully lost more than 20 pounds in 4 weeks. With 95% confidence, construct a confidence interval. So we're going to start by going to Stat and finding probability stats, because this is a probability question. We'll go to one sample, and we have a summary. Data would mean that we had all of the individual people and then the successes and non-successes, but we have just the summary of that. So summary. Put number of successes, which was 502, and then observations, 1013. Come down to confidence interval, and we already have a 95% confidence level. So compute, and then we would construct our confidence interval with a lower limit of 0.465 and an upper limit of 0.526. Now we're going to go over a couple of chi-squared questions having to do with chi-squared tests and tables. This one specifically is contingency tables. So the question states, 633 men and women were asked whether they were happy or sad about a recent political decision. The results are here. Find the chi-squared test statistic, p-value, and confidence interval. So we're going to start by moving to stat. And because it is a contingency table, we'll go to tables and you'll see contingency. It looks like data, but it is a summary. So we'll come to summary. Take all of these variables for the columns. You have to highlight them. And then for row labels, you're going to press the first row of men and women over here, variable 1. Then we'll come down. It's going to show us the chi-squared test for independence. And then for the confidence interval, we can pick gamma. The confidence interval is 95, which is good. That's what we want. And compute. So here are results. The chi-squared statistic is 1.532. We see that here. And our p-value is 0.4648. For our confidence interval, the lower limit is 0.08. And our upper limit is 0.14. Okay, we're going to finish it off with our chi-squared test. We have our observed and expected columns. This is an example of raw data rather than summary because we have individual values per item rather than just the amounts at the end of the results. So we're going to start by moving to stat, come down to goodness of fit, chi-square test. We're going to put observed under the observed column over here, and then expected under the expected column over here. Compute, and what we will find is n, which is amount, df, degrees of freedom, for our chi-squared number, which will be 5.2595, and our p-value, which comes out as 0.2617. That is our chi-square goodness of fit test results. For all of our problems, remember that to find the z-score, you'll come to stat, calculators, and drop down to normal. To find the critical values, you'll go to stat, calculators, and you can either pick normal, t, or chi-squared. To find the confidence intervals of proportion, drop to stat, proportion stat, and then you can either pick with data or with summary. To find contingency tables of chi-squared, you'll come to tables, contingency, and either pick data or summary again. And to run a chi-squared test, come to goodness of fit and press chi-squared test. That is it for StatCrunch today. I hope you all walk away with a general understanding of how to find the z-scores, critical values of z-test, t-test, and chi-squared, confidence intervals of probability proportion, and how to find the chi-squared tables and chi-squared test. We also went over summary data, what raw data is, found p-values, and chi-squared stats. That is it for me today. Again, my name is Ava Favros, and thank you for watching my StatCrunch crash course in 15 minutes or less. I've linked below a PDF on StatCrunch basics, so it's a cheat sheet to all the steps and problems, and as well as StatCrunch is linked below, so feel free to check it out. Please ask any questions, and I look forward to watching you guys' lectures. Thank you.